I still remember the day everything changed. It started like any other Tuesday morning on my 74-acre farm. I was out watering my tomato plants, the sun just warm enough on my back, the birds singing the way they always do, when the phone rang. A polite man's voice asked if I was ready for Saturday's wedding delivery. 200 chairs, round tables, a floral arch, the works. I laughed at first, thinking it was a wrong number, but when he read back my exact address, my hands started shaking so hard I nearly dropped the hose. 200 wedding invitations had been sent out with my farm as the venue, and I, Hilda Morales, the legal owner of every inch of this land, was finding out from a complete stranger. My own son David and his fiancée Jessica had planned their entire wedding on my property, without ever asking me. 40 years I spent as a housekeeper, scrubbing other people's floors, ironing shirts for men who never learned my name, saving every single penny until I could finally buy this place at 65. 40 years of aching back and cracked hands and swallowed pride. And now my own flesh and blood treated my dream like their free party hall. That was the moment something inside me snapped. I hung up the phone, wiped my hands on my apron, and with a smile they couldn't see, I called the most expensive corporate event company in the city. "Are you free this Saturday?" I asked sweetly. "Perfect. I have a 74-acre private estate, complete privacy, ideal for an exclusive executive retreat. I'll pay double if you can make it happen." They jumped at it. $5,000 wired the same day. If my son and his fiancée thought they could use my farm without permission, they were about to learn exactly who this land belongs to. For 40 years I woke up at 5 in the morning to catch buses across town, cleaning houses that would never be mine, listening to rich women complain about broken nails while I hid the blood on my own fingers from bleach. 40 years of being invisible, of being spoken to like furniture, of being paid late because the maid can wait. Every paycheck went into a coffee tin under my bed until one day I walked into the bank with enough to buy this farm. House, mango trees, avocado groves, wide porch, everything. The day I signed the papers I cried like a baby holding that deed that said Hilda Morales, sole owner. I thought finally I would have peace. I thought finally I would be respected in my own home. Instead, David and Jessica treated the place like an extension of their apartment. They showed up unannounced every weekend with carloads of friends, had loud parties till dawn, left beer bottles in my flower beds, and expected me to cook for 20 people and clean up after them like I was still on somebody else's payroll. "Mom, can you whip up something quick? We brought extra guests," Jessica would say, stretching out on my hammock in designer sunglasses, not even looking at me. And like a fool I did it. I cooked, I served, I scrubbed, I smiled. Because that's what mothers do, right? We swallow the hurt so our children can be happy. I was so blind. That Tuesday the calls kept coming. The caterer wanted to know if I preferred salmon or filet mignon for 200 guests. The DJ asked about the playlist. The photographer confirmed family photo times. Every single vendor had my address as the venue, and not one of them had ever spoken to me before. By Wednesday I was shaking with rage. I called David. Son, we need to talk about your wedding. Silence. Then the coldest voice I ever heard from my own child. What does my wedding have to do with you? I told him every vendor was calling me. He laughed. Actually laughed. Oh Mom, I forgot to mention it, but don't worry, it won't cost you anything. Just have the house ready and maybe cook for the family that stays late. I forgot to mention it. For little words that broke my heart into a million pieces. 200 guests, David. Mom, don't exaggerate. It'll be 150 max. Look on the bright side. You'll finally meet Jessica's family. The bright side. As if strangers trampling my lawn was a gift. As if my bathrooms being destroyed by people who don't even know my name was a privilege. I asked what if I had plans that day. He actually snorted. What plans, Mom? Your life is quiet. My life is quiet. After 40 years of noise and humiliation, I finally had quiet. And he was taking even that away without asking. I hung up without saying goodbye. Tears ran down my face, but they weren't sad tears anymore. They were angry tears, burning tears, tears that said enough. Thursday morning I met Henry Smith from Premium Corporate Events. I showed him the gardens, the colonial house, the absolute privacy. His eyes lit up like a child's on Christmas. We signed the contract on my kitchen table, $5,000 for one day. Money David and Jessica had never offered to help with taxes or fence repairs, but a company paid without blinking. That night I slept better than I had in years. Friday Jessica called screaming. Every vendor had canceled on them because the farm was double booked. She was hysterical. How can you not know about this, Hilda? It's your farm. I smiled into the phone. Exactly, Jessica. It's my farm. An hour later they stormed up my driveway, faces red, accusing me of revenge. I sat on my porch rocking chair in my Sunday dress and told them come as you please. I rented my property to people who asked permission and paid for the privilege. Jessica offered $10,000 on the spot to cancel the corporate event. David threatened lawyers. I just smiled. This isn't about money anymore. This is about respect. They left furious, Jessica screaming she'd never let me see my future grandchildren. I didn't flinch. Saturday came. I wore my wine-colored dress, the one I saved for special occasions that never came. I put on my mother's pearl earrings. I looked like the lady of the manor, because that's exactly what I was. Vendors started arriving confused. Then the corporate team transformed my garden into an elegant executive venue in under 2 hours. At noon the wedding guests began pulling in. Beautiful cars, fancy dresses, gifts in hand, only to find corporate signs and security at the gate. By 2:00, 50 executives were sipping champagne where the wedding arch was supposed to be, and 200 confused guests milled around my driveway asking where the ceremony was. Then the bridal party arrived. Jessica stepped out of the white ribboned car in her designer gown looking like a fairy tale, until she saw executives at her reception tables. She screamed so loud the birds flew out of the trees. David ran up my porch steps still in his tuxedo shouting, "Mom, stop this right now." I stood slowly, smoothed my dress, and looked down at him from the top step. Good afternoon, David. You look very handsome. Shame about the venue mix-up. Jessica offered $20,000 from their honeymoon savings. David begged. I didn't move. Father Thomas arrived to officiate and tried to mediate. He was kind. He understood both sides. But even he finally admitted they should have asked permission. Hours passed. Guests roasted in the sun. Jessica's makeup ran. David estiahan luz. And still I sat on my porch watching the chaos I had created, feeling more powerful than I ever had in 70 years. Then something shifted. David looked up at me, really looked, and I saw the little boy I raised. Mom, he said quietly, you're right. We were wrong. We treated you terribly. Please let us fix this. Jessica knelt in her wedding dress right there on my porch boards. We'll pay rent every month. We'll ask permission for everything. We'll never take you for granted again. Please. I looked at my son's broken face, at my daughter-in-law's tears soaking her veil, at 200 innocent guests who had done nothing wrong, and I made my decision. I walked to Henry and offered his clients a 50% discount plus an invitation to stay for the most exclusive improvised wedding they would ever attend. They loved the idea. By 4:30 the corporate event ended, tables were rearranged, and at 5:30 under my favorite mango tree, Father Thomas married David and Jessica with the sunset painting everything gold. But I had conditions, and they accepted every single one. The biggest condition came during the toast. I took the microphone in front of 200 guests plus 50 fascinated executives and told the truth, the whole truth, how I worked 40 years as a maid, how I bought this farm with blood and tears, how my own son planned a wedding here without ever asking me, how I rented it to strangers to teach them respect. You could hear a pin drop. Then I raised my glass and said, to the bride and groom, may they begin their marriage remembering that love without respect is not love at all. The applause was deafening, not just for the wedding, but for me, for a 70-year-old woman who finally stood up and said no more. 6 months later my farm is the most sought-after venue in the region. I make more in one weekend than I used to make in a year cleaning houses. David and Jessica pay their $1,000 monthly rent on the first of every month without fail. They call weeks in advance if they want to visit. Jessica now washes dishes after family dinners and calls me Dona Hilda with real respect in her voice. The town still talks about the wedding that almost wasn't. Young women come asking how to set boundaries. Old widows tell me I gave them courage. And every night I sit on my porch with coffee watching the stars, holding the deed that says Hilda Morales, sole owner, and I smile. Because at 70 years old I finally learned the greatest lesson of all. It is never too late to demand respect, never too late to teach your children that mothers are not doormats, never too late to become the woman you were always meant to be. This is my farm. This is my life. And nobody, not even my own son, will ever take it from me again. This is the story of how Auntie Mea got her dignity back. And darling, if I can do it at 70, just imagine what you can do right now. Never let anyone treat your home, your heart, or your life like it's theirs to use. Stand up. Speak up. You deserve respect. Always. And that, my loves, is the real happy ending.